Hello and welcome to the Dean Winchester beat sheet, an appropriately unhinged synopsis. Basically, what I want to do tonight is give you a comprehensive overview of the major plot points that occur in the fanfiction The Dean Winchester Beat Sheet by Salty Feathers on Archive of Our Own, because this is like the best fanfiction of all time. I'm gonna get into it. Like, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have fun. But that's what this video is. And I have a clicker and I have a PowerPoint. And I know that the lighting is probably awful because I don't have the capability of making it any better. So to start, we just want to get some context because I know that you probably have no idea what's going on. So we're gonna go back to the very beginning here with Supernatural 2005. So what is Supernatural? Basically, this is all that it is. This is the motto of Supernatural. They're saving people, they're hunting things, and it's a family business, all right? We got Sam and Dean Winchester, okay? That's them right there when they were little. And they are brothers, and they hunt monsters, basically. You can read this if you want to, but I don't suggest it because it really is not that important, okay? All you need to know is they're brothers and they hunt things. More context. This is actually important, okay? Destiel is what we're talking about today. That is the basis of this fanfiction, Destiel. Who is Destiel? What is Destiel? You might be wondering. Well, I'll tell you, it's Dean Winchester, who is a normal human, and it's Castiel, who is an angel of... See? Destiel, okay? And they're in love. And this is not up for debate. This is true. This is canon. It's just facts, and the end. So, enter Beat Sheet. So, Destiel is very popular on Archive of Our Own, which is where Beat Sheet is housed. Dean Winchester Beat Sheet is the name of the actual fanfiction, but I'm just going to call it Beat Sheet, because that's what everybody calls it. This is the synopsis on Archive of Our Own for Beat Sheet, okay? I am not going to read that, but you're welcome. You're welcome to read that for yourself. Okay, you get an idea of kind of what we're getting into here. Basically, they're in college. It's a college AU. And that's all you really need to know. I don't know how else to describe it without getting into it. But you can see from this that Beat Sheet is very, very popular. Okay, 750 comments, 4,000 kudos. That's pretty good. And this is just some of the testimonials that we've seen on Tumblr. So I am once again thinking about him, Beat Sheet Dean, as am I always. I don't know what Salty Feathers put in Beat Sheet, but damn, I cannot put it down. I need to know the secret. I need to know it. I'm so close. Yeah, girl, we all feel that way about Beat Sheet. Are there any fics that are insane like Beat Sheet because I want to feel that rush again? The answer is no. Yeah, every time I start a new fic, I think it will never be Beat Sheet, and that's what this fanfiction does to you. Every time you read something new, you're like, well, this is fine, but it's not Beat Sheet. So, our story opens in medias res, with Dean and some girl getting it on. Unfortunately for Dean, however, he never finishes, but he's like, it's no big deal, like, whatever. It's very strange, right, for a man to not, but it's not foreshadowing or anything, no big deal. We meet Joe and Charlie, who are Dean's best friends. They're both women. Joe is like kind of spunky and hates school. Charlie's like a computer science genius. She hacks all the time, which will be important later. She's also a lesbian, which is important for the plot. Have you ever heard of dramatic irony? If you haven't heard of dramatic irony, you'll understand what it is by the time you finish this fucking book. Everyone seems to know something about Dean that Dean doesn't know, or is like, everyone will make weird comments to him, and he's like, and we as the audience are like, So just so you know, that's the main plot point of this whole thing. And then we have our meet cute. After we meet Charlie and everyone, we have our meet cute. We meet Cass in class, and Dean is wearing socks with sandals, and Cass takes one look at them and goes, oh. And this is really insulting to Dean. He's like, I can't believe that you would do that to me. That's so rude. And he immediately thinks Cass is shady as fuck. But Charlie really likes Cass, And Charlie and Dean are best friends. So Dean's like, whatever, fine, I will deal with him. So they go and have a party on the beach, all of them later, like at some point. And then Dean shuts Cass's hand in a door in his car and has to drive him to the hospital. And that's the end of chapter 1. Chapter 2, we find out that Charlie will be forcing Dean to go to Pride with her this year, which he's doing because he's her best friend, but he's kind of uncomfortable about it, which again is not foreshadowing at all, no big deal. But before she takes him to Pride, she takes him to a gay bar. And inside the gay bar, he gets hit on by this guy named Aaron, and he's like, dude, I'm straight, but he's really, 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 really uncomfortable about it. Could mean nothing. I don't know. It could mean nothing. So after he gets hit on and he's uncomfortable, he goes outside and he sees Cass, which he's like, what the fuck? And Cass is talking to this British guy. And it's like really weird and sketchy. And Dean approaches him. He's like, why are you talking to this British guy? And Cass is like, oh, that's like my ex-boyfriend. By the way, Dean's drunk. Everyone's drunk. But Dean is really drunk. And Cass is like, well, it's my ex-boyfriend. Supposedly. And the best line in the entire book happens, which is when Cass says that the guy he's talking to is his ex-boyfriend. Dean says, you can't be gay. You drive a motorcycle. And then he throws up all over Cass's shoes. Oh, and then this is later, so they go and do things, like, we have the puking scene, and then later they have another party, and Dean shotguns weed smoke from Cass, and then immediately asks Charlie for Cass's phone number, because they're friends. He just shotgunned weed smoke out of his fucking mouth. They're best friends now. And Dean is, like, constantly inviting Cass to parties after this, and then the second best line in the book happens, which is when Cass says, I always feel like I need a cigarette after you, or something like that, which is just like beautiful. Love that. And then at one party, Dean is like absolutely wasted, and Cass is like, oh my god, I cannot believe this is happening. So he takes him home, and then Cass like tells him that he's like basically like super fucking attracted to him, but he would never do anything because Dean is like super, super closeted, which we already have figured out at this point. And Cass is just like, I fucking hope you cannot remember any of this tomorrow. And then when Dean wakes up from after that night, he swipes right on a prostitute on Tinder and then pays to have sex with her because he's like so distraught about the whole, he's having gay panic at the moment. So that was the end of chapter 2. Chapter 3, we start with Dean admitting to Cass that he had Charlie cyberstalk him because he was so convinced that Cass was sketchy. And then Charlie starts making Dean be nice to Cass because she's like, you made me cyberstalk him, and he was like, fine, there was nothing that came up, so like, you owe me one. And Cass is being like very flirty with Dean, which obviously makes Dean like uncomfortable, but also like Dean likes it, but it's like he's closeted, so it's kind of like upsetting. Yeah, more intimate scenes. We just have a lot. This is the beginning of a lot of scenes where Dean is just extremely closeted. It's very sad for him. And then they go to Winter Pride, which, remember, Charlie's making Dean go to, and Dean's like super pissed off at the picketers, and everyone's like, buddy, you're really being an ally over here, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, I'm a really good ally. And Charlie sees her dream girl at Pride and abandons Dean with Cass, which is just a recipe for disaster. And Dean kisses Cass in public and freaks out and ghosts everyone's texts for like a couple days. And then later, after the 3 days of ghosting, they kiss in the library, and Dean is like, I'm literally gonna fucking kill someone. And he gets so mortified that he sleeps with some random girl and announces it to everyone one day, like at lunch or something, so that everyone knows. And then they just continue this cycle, and they get hot and heavy at a Halloween party, and this is just going to keep happening for like the entire rest of the fanfiction. So in chapter 4, Dean visits his parents' graves, which is sad, but I don't really care. So now we're starting the experimentation phase, which is what Cass calls it to Dean. He's like, okay, I'll be your experimentation phase, whatever. And Dean's like, I'm just not even going to think about this. I don't even have the mental capacity to think about this. And yeah, basically, like I said, a long, long list of no homo from Dean's perspective encounters, even though it definitely is. And then we get another fantastic line, which I think is when Dean is like, what does he say? He's like, don't use the G word to describe me because that's not right, after he basically blows Cass, I'm pretty sure. Which is fucking hilarious. I mean, that's amazing. And then they all go to Thanksgiving at their like surrogate parents' place. They bring Cass with them, and it's like really cute and heartwarming. And the found family in this book, if you like found family, you should read this because it's almost better than the romance. Because oh my god, I'm not gonna get into it, but it's really, really, really heartwarming. I don't know what this line is. If I can remember it, I will put it up. If I can figure out how to do that. They kiss occasionally, like while they're at Thanksgiving or whatever, and then Dean rides with Cass on a motorcycle because their like surrogate dad has a motorcycle. So that was nice. Yeah, I guess there's a blowjob. There is a blowjob in their parents' house. And then, oh yeah, so Cass is like, we can come up with a fake girlfriend for you. Her name can be Caroline, and that way you can stop being so fucking scared about people finding out about this thing. This is definitely not going to come into play later. So in chapter 5, we're getting really bad vibes about Cass and like his situation because Crowley, who's the supposed ex-boyfriend of Cass, remember, bothered Dean this one time. He was like being weird and he was like, I'm sure I've seen you from somewhere. And Dean was like, I don't think so. And when he told Cass, Cass was like, this is whack. And then Cass has a Christmas party at his house. And Dean like continuously like keeps almost like getting into it, but then doesn't because he remembers everybody's there. It's very like, aw, poor Dean. And then they have the Never Have I Ever game, which is like it's so funny. I like can't remember everything that happens, but it is like them just picking on each other. Dean is like, never have I ever faked my own death and like become like scrubbed all my presents off of the internet. Which is what Cass did, which like we found out because of Charlie. Anyway, this is probably so incongruous, but it's fine. And then they have sex for the first time, I think. And then Crowley walks in after they've just had sex for the first or second, like very new. This is a very new situation. Crowley walks into Cass's house. First of all, why does he have a key? We don't know. Cass is like, he has a key. And Dean's like, that's not a fucking explanation. And so Dean obviously is very, very, very freaked out because he like doesn't want anybody to know about this whole situation. And then Cass literally stops answering Dean's text. Like Dean leaves Cass's house. Dean's like texting him. Cass won't answer. He's being weird. And they don't even talk until they take a literal final exam at the end of the semester. And Dean's like, what the fuck? And Cass is like, literally go suck my dick. And Dean is like, please help me. Like, you don't understand. You're ruining my life right now because I'm in a sexual panic. And Cass is like, this is not my fucking problem. And everyone is like, what the fuck? Like, I cannot believe this is happening. So now we have like a holiday interlude and then we start chapter 7. So that's why it says 6-7, because chapter 6 is like really short and it's just like the holiday interlude. So we're in an interlude. They go home for Christmas, but Cass doesn't come with them this time. And then Dean tells his whole family about his fake long-distance online French Canadian girlfriend named Caroline, which is who they came up with. He comes up with a fake picture. He gets like a stock photo of this bitch and shows them all. Anyway. And then Cass is still being distant. He's not back home with them. Dean calls him on New Year's Eve and Cass is like not helpful. Cass is like, is this an emergency? And Dean's like, no. And then Cass is like, okay, bye. So that sucks. So now when he gets back to school after the holidays, he tries to sleep with another girl, the same girl from the beginning, Carmen, and but he gets all weird, and then she actually knows about his fake French Canadian girlfriend, Caroline, and so she thinks he sucks. She's like, I can't believe that you have an online long distance girlfriend and you are trying to fuck me right now. Like, that is ridiculous. So Cass hears about Caroline when they're all like at lunch together and he makes a shitty comment to Dean, and then they go to the bathroom together so that Dean can be like, why the fuck did you say that? And then Dean finds out that Crowley suspects that him and Cass have a thing, which of course makes Dean freak out. And then, like, we also find out that Crowley's not really an ex, that Cass just lied, and Crowley's actually a spy for Cass's family, which is really weird, but, like, okay, like, I guess we'll accept that. And then Dean flushes Cass's phone down the toilet. I don't remember why, but that happens. And now we just get more scenes of Dean doing some more sexual exploration, despite the fact that Cass has a weird family spy who has a key to his house who walks in on him in inappropriate times. Oh yeah, and Dean was really pissed at him because of this whole thing. They were not getting along, and Cass felt bad about it. So he donated a music listening room to their university and names it after Dean's dead mom. I wish I was joking. And then Dean sleeps with him. Again, wish I was joking. Dean is immediately like, this is too much. I don't like the grand gestures, blah, blah, blah. And then he sleeps with him, which is honestly keen behavior. So in chapter 8, Charlie reveals that she has a new mark for her hacking situation, which basically means she's going to hack to Vista Company and steal some money. And Dean is like, I don't know about that, but like, whatever. And he's becoming more uncomfortable with the fact that, like, he's obviously in love with Cass, and Cass obviously is not just, like, being mean. Like, Cass actually kind of likes him. He's, like, kind of tender, and it makes Dean very uncomfortable. And, and they are in school or something, and then Dean runs into a sliding door and breaks his nose and has to go to the hospital. And they go to a party, and at the behest of some girl who took ecstasy, she's like, I'm on ecstasy. Why don't men ever kiss each other? Like, they always make women kiss each other, and men never kiss each other. And then Charlie's like, oh yeah, or the girl who takes ecstasy is like, Dean and Cass should kiss. You guys have, like, such a good energy. And Charlie's like, oh, like, don't make them do that. Like, let's have consent over here or whatever. But then Dean kisses Cass anyway in front of everybody, which is the big gay win in this chapter. And Dean starts working for this professor for, like, one of their classes. And when Cass hears about it, he gets super fucking weird and pissed. And Dean's like, whatever. But then him and Cass go to Cass's parents' like forced lodge for spring break, and they're like having a good time, like whatever. And then they run into this guy who calls Cass Jimmy, and he's like super fucking pissed. Like, the guy's like, I fucking hate you. You ruined my goddamn life. Like, go kill yourself. I literally hate you. And Dean is like, what the hell? And Cass is like, you know, that's so weird, right? Anyway, and so we just, like, don't find out what that was, but it's very suspicious. We are getting more and more suspicious about Cass at this point in time. So in chapter 9, we keep getting these weird hints that Cass is sketchy. There's even more, and so Dean eventually is like, I can't do this anymore. He talks to that professor that he was working for, and the professor gives him some info, like Cass's real name, which isn't Cass. Remember Jimmy? So then Dean is like, we are going to do some digging on Cass eventually, but he doesn't say anything about it yet. But then Dean, Cass, and Charlie go out to a bar, and Dean leaves, and Charlie's talking to Cass, and then Dean overhears Charlie telling Cass that she thinks Dean is gay, and he freaks the fuck out. Like, he gets really fucking pissed at her. And then Cass tells him that he shouldn't feel so bad about himself, because, like, he tells, like, Dean is, like, such a self-loathing person, and Cass is like, you shouldn't feel so bad about yourself because I'm worse. And Dean is like, what's worse than being closeted? Which, plenty of things. And Cass is like, well, I ruin people's lives. And it's just like, okay. And then this is where we get the big reveal. So remember how I said that Dean was like, I want to get Cass investigated. So he has Charlie investigate Cass, and she calls him, even though Dean's mad at her for telling Cass that she thinks he's gay, he's like, okay, whatever, I'll listen to you. And they basically figure out that Cass is not at all who he says he is. And so they arrange to meet him in a barn. So basically, Cass's family has employed him to stake out Charlie because her hacking skills are so good, and she stole money from their family and gave it to, like, poor people. And they were like, oh, we figured out that she was doing this, and she's so good at it, we want her to be our minion. And Charlie, of course, is like, I'm not going to be your minion. And they're like, well, you can either be our minion or you can go to jail. And Crowley briefly enters the barn to, like, threaten them, and Cass is like, literally, go fuck yourself, like, this is my mission. And it's fucking crazy, okay? Like, hold on, I need you to understand that we spent this whole book being like, Cass is kind of weird. Maybe he's in witness protection. And then it turns out that his family just wants to hire Charlie for doing illegal activity as a computer hacker. And he's been staking them out this whole time to get her. Dean is like, what the fuck? Like, you're insane. He asks to talk to Cass alone. He's like, you're literally a sociopath. How are you doing this? And Cass is just like, it's all I've ever known. Like, what else am I supposed to do? Which is like, that's an answer, I guess, but like not an acceptable one. And Dean like finally says like something meaningful. He's like he says like, you were becoming like a part of my family. Like, you know, that's the closest Dean is getting to saying any kind of declaration of love. And Cass says fucking nothing. Zip. Absolutely nothing. Which just heartbreaking. Am I right? Absolutely devastating. So this is chapter 9 continued. Charlie, like they leave this barn where they have approached Cass and told him everything and figured everything out. And Charlie's like, Dean, I love you, but I cannot babysit your sexual crisis anymore. This is like so painful for me personally. And Dean is like, cool, I'm gonna go AWOL now. So he does that, and then Crowley shows up at his apartment and is like, if you don't convince Charlie to help us, then I'm gonna make your whole relationship thing public. And Dean is like, I don't care. And then Cass shows up and he's like, Crowley, go away. Like, I hate you. I'm gonna tell the United States government that your visa is expired because he's British. And he's like, I'm gonna tell the United States government if your visa is expired if you don't fucking leave. And then Cass leaves. Like, they don't even talk to each other. It's very sad. Joe finally shows up to Dean's apartment and like pulls him off of his ass. And Cass like moves out of his house and Dean goes to visit just like to see if he's there. And he's not, obviously. And then like Cass's neighbor is there and she sees him and she's like, hi. And he's like, hey. And she's like, I'm sorry about your boyfriend. Like, he just left. And Dean doesn't even correct her. He's like, thank you. Okay, so this is the last chapter where everything's wrapping up. So Charlie is under threat of going to jail. Dean and Charlie are not talking because she told Cass that she thought he was gay. Cass is right now out of the picture because he works for a crazy family and it's a bad rich family. Imagine the Sacklers. That's what I was imagining when I read this. Yeah, so that's basically what's happening right now. So they graduate college. Dean and Charlie still haven't really talked. But then Dean and Charlie like get together and he comes out to her. It's really, really sweet. And then like 10 minutes later, he's like, oh no, I love him. And then he cries and it's very sad because Cass is gone and also not really a good person at this point in the book. So then Dean comes out to Joe and then he refuses to go to Chick-fil-A because they hate gay people. And then he tells Sam on the phone and Sam is like, Dean, you gotta tell Caroline that you're gay. Which is really funny because Sam doesn't understand that Caroline was made up. Okay, so then we get like this another insane reveal where Charlie has decided to help Cass go legit and become a whistleblower against his crazy family. And she tells the bartender at the bar that they're at to put it on the news. And Dean sees it and he's like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. Like, they're gonna kill him. And Charlie's like, it's fine. Like, he wanted to do this. And Dean is like, oh no. So he goes to meet Cass in a diner at Charlie's request. So they go meet in this diner. It's really sweet. They're like talking about themselves. Dean apologizes for being like a bad boyfriend because he was like just so like he never was fully there with Cass because he was so worried about like his whole sexual panic. And Cass is like, why are you apologizing to me? I'm the one who literally like pulled a ruse over you and all your friends and tried to get your best friend arrested. And Dean is like, well, yeah, you did kind of do that, didn't you? You did kind of fuck up. And Dean is like, I don't know what to call you now. And Cass is like, no, I legally changed my name to Castiel Novak because it's a unique name in the United States. Only I have this name. And so that will allow people who really don't like me to come find me and beat me up if they want to. Which is like, that is a take. And that is a thing that you can do, I guess, if you've ruined people's lives. But it's very strange. You could also just send them cards or something. So they talk about all this stuff and Dean's like, I don't know if we should try again. I don't know. And eventually like Dean is like, I just need you to like, I need to know where you're at. Like I need to know like, he's like desperate, and Cass is like, dude, this is obvious. Like, is it not obvious? And he's like, do you really want me to say it in a diner? Because unfortunately I do. So that happens. Cass like walks out because Dean doesn't say anything, and then Dean is like, oh fuck, I'm an idiot. And then he goes outside and they have their little in the rain moment, and it's really nice. And then they all live happily ever after. And that's basically the end. So I hope that you've enjoyed this very unhinged and unscripted recap of the Dean Winchester beat sheet. I hope this inspires you to do something. It doesn't matter what it is, just anything. And thank you very much, and good night. I don't even know how long I've been recording that, but you want to see my setup? Oh, only 40 minutes? That's not bad. That's my setup. Bye!